watch this all the way through, because Washington Bay is going to share so many gifts and knowledge and wisdom from his ancestors that will support you. It supported me in my work, and it's really helped me to develop. And I feel it's a very, very important information to bring into the system at this moment in time, with the work at the moment and what's happening in the collective field at the moment. So welcome everybody, and welcome Washington Bay.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's so nice that you're sharing these beautiful gifts with us and the wisdom with us. So yeah, so Washington, welcome.
So I'm Washington Mbei from Kenya, Western region of Kenya. And this second name, Mbei, it's my grandmother who gave me this name. And it's not just a name, but it has a meaning and importance of it. So this name my grandmother gave me, it was her father's name. And now my grandmother, there's a way she wanted to connect me and her through this name. And she felt it's good for her to give me this name. And that's why connected with my grandmother and my ancestors. And my grandmother, in short, my grandmother had some, how do you call it? My grandmother had some, how can I? Yeah, exactly. Thank you. So my grandmother had some gifts, and the gifts she used to help women to get pregnancy. She used also to resolve some issues, maybe in the family. If you have some problems, people used to come in the compound. She could try to see what's the problem, maybe if it's something that needs herbs or not. So yeah, that's why she felt it's good to connect with me, and she wanted to transfer the gifts into me, and that's why she gave me this name. So I'm here also to honor my grandmother. I'm here to honor my ancestors also, because in a family, to be chosen to inherit or have the gifts from the ancestors, it's not something easy. So I really honor them, and I also honor my grandmother and all my ancestors. And I'm happy because they are also allowing me to share some information.
And really, it's something I didn't realize, that your brother and sister, for example, have a different surname. So it's not that you just inherit the surname. She brought another surname, which is on your grandmother's line in.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're the only one actually in the family with this name.
Yeah, so like in the whole family, everyone in the whole family, it's only me who has a different name. And now she decided to bring a name from her side, of which the name was his father's name. And now she decided to bring the name now to our family. And she decided to give me that name. So like the name Bay, it's only me who has the name in the whole family.
Yes. And since, in the last time that we know each other, your grandmother's coming more forward and a little bit more pushy, I'll say, as well, because she wants to open up the knowledge. She wants you to use the knowledge, I can feel very strongly.
Okay, yeah. I can feel the same. I feel the same. Yeah, sometimes you can have gifts, but when you have gifts, you must also find someone also to make your gifts to grow, because by yourself sometimes you cannot do it. You can have gifts, but you have to get someone to help you grow the gifts. So I think Damien.
So I could feel your grandmother really like is open to sharing, and she wants you to reconnect with the gifts. It was also interesting when you were in school, you were telling me that you're wondering, why do I have this name? And I want to change the name like everybody else in the family.
Yeah, I wanted to change the name. Like I was wondering, how comes I'm the only person in the family who has a different name? So I was thinking to change, to change the name to have a family, to have a name like the other people in the family. So I was like, why do I have a different name? Me alone. But my grandmother, she told me, if you want to face the consequences, don't ever change that name. I have a reason to why I gave you that name. So it forced me to know what the reasons that made her to give me that name. So she was like open and she explained some, and I found the name to be very important. And that's why I just took the name, yeah.
Yeah. And then recently as well, you were sharing that you also got the blessings as well from, I think it's her brother, is it, or
The
her?
brother to my grandmother.
The brother to your grandmother also
Yeah.
blessed you recently.
Yeah, so recently, yeah. The brother to my grandmother, he is almost 90 years now. So we had a family function, let me say family function. So we met there as a family, and in the crowd, brother to my grandmother, he called me out and he said, Washington, come here. And in front of people, he laid his hands on my head and he was saying words of wisdom and blessings unto me. And that was very grateful. And it's something that it's not easy to happen. But I really thank because I got like the blessings from him and from all the ancestors.
And
Yeah.
your grandmother, when did she pass? It's many years since she passed.
Yeah, my grandmother, it's now like 18 or 20 years.
Since she
Eh,
passed. Yeah.
yeah, 18 or 20 years, yes.
I feel her very proud of you.
Yeah, and she died when she was 105.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
105 years.
And I was amazed that you were telling me the age, of most people around your family when they die. It was like really like 100
Yeah, like
plus.
100, like 98, 100, 115, 118. So because like, in our family, not only in our family, but long time ago, people used to eat like natural foods. They had natural foods, no chemicals. They had herbs. If someone is feeling like sick, not going to the hospital or taking drugs, maybe some drugs, maybe they have, how do you call it?
Side effects.
Yeah, side effects. So they used to have like herbs. If someone is feeling like stomach ache, there is herbs for stomach ache. If someone was feeling like a headache, there is herbs for headache. And now when it comes to food, the food is natural just from the shamba. How do you call it?
The
Shamba?
Shamba,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So what was very interesting as well is that you were telling me when you were a child growing up that each garden, each household would have their own little herbal garden that you knew as a child, that if you have a headache, you take this. If you have a tummy ache, you take this.
Yes.
And you detox, you take this. But
Exactly.
as a child, you knew this.
As a child. So in our family, even in our compound, we used to have like most families, they used to have like a small portion, not really small, but at least a portion where they used to plant only herbs. And these herbs, even me, myself, I knew the herbs when I was still 7 years, because they used to tell you, if you feel this, you have to take this herb. If you feel this, you have to take this herb. So sometimes even if the parents are not around, or my grandmother is not around, or my grandfather is not around, and I feel headache or I feel stomachache, I just used to go to the garden, or I don't not garden, like the shamba, or where the herbs are. You pick what's for stomachache. And if you feel maybe your head, you just go where the herbs are, you pick what's for headache. So like we used to know these things when we were still young, and they used to teach us and used to show us this for this, this for this. So we were growing up when we know these herbs. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What was very interesting as well is that you told me once that for snake bite, that there was a bush that the snakes love the fruit, and that exact tree or bush is the one you used for snake venom.
Exactly. So this plant, it has some fruits, and the snakes likes the fruits. But the leaves, if you have a snake bite, they now use the leaves for
the anti-venom.
Yeah, for the antivenom. So the plant, the snake loves the fruits of the plant, and the leaves of the plant, it's used as a
venom. So
antivenom.
It's
Yes.
almost like the exchange between the snake venom,
Exactly.
the snake spirit. They
Yeah.
give back to the plant, and then the plant does it back to you.
So it's a snake. It's a snake's food. At the same time, it's a snake
Antidote. Yeah, antivenom.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
What was very interesting as well, watching, was when you started to open up to bring the connect me, connect the house to the information of the forest. The really ancient information of the forest, the spirits, like the mother tree of the forest, and how the mother tree of the forest would then give you permission to connect to the other trees related to whatever ailment you had. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So like in the forest and all these things I'm talking about, it's my grandmother who introduced me to this when I was like still young. And I'm very happy because I think I was her favorite.
Our
favorite. So this mother tree in the forest, if you used to go to the forest, or if you go to the forest and you want some herbs in the forest, you have to seek the permission from this tree. Understand? Yeah. You have to seek information from this tree. And if you go with the bad intentions for having the herbs in the forest, so if you won't get the permission from this tree, you will move around the forest even the whole day, 2 days, you will never see the herb you want. Okay. And so yeah, that's why you used to get permission first from this mother tree for it to allow you now to be free in the forest, and you can easily get the herbs you want.
And it was interesting when we were back in Kenya, and a Maasai came to the house, and he was treating me, and then he put the master tree bark on my wrist, but he immediately spoke out that you have all the gifts in you. I could see straight away. and then you opened up the systems. But it was interesting how this master tree has such a strong, soft spirit, but powerful spirit, knowledgeable spirit, and this spirit was interconnecting you with the whole forest. Like the forest was an ecosystem in itself. That's what really struck me strongly since I've been in Kenya, is that, and since you initiated me to the forest, was this interaction of a one being. The whole intelligence is interconnected, that the whole forest is interconnected, and how that interconnection works within us, if you know what I mean. So it's like this master tree, once you connect to the master tree, it's like connecting to your heart. Then you're guided to the right herbs, you're guided to the right topics to work through, the same with the ancestral work. So it's almost like the divine intelligence.
Yeah.
You're connecting into this field. This was very, very strong.
It's very strong.
Very strong.
Yeah, and when Masai was telling you, Washington, I feel like you are connected. So like when my grandmother used to go to the forest to have these herbs, and she had already connected with the forest, and when she was sorry, and when she was passing this to me, she connected me now with the forest. Okay, if I go to the forest, I'll have to seek permission from this mother tree, but already I'm connected with the forest. And that's why Masai was telling you, telling me, Washington, I feel like you're connected with the forest.
Yes.
Because my grandmother used to go to the forest, do the herbs, and she was really connected with the forest, with the herb also. That's how.
Yeah. Also, as well, it's the forest we're talking about that Washington's family and ancestors are connected to is Kakamega Forest. It's a very, very sacred forest with incredible amount of medicinal plants and trees within that forest.
Yeah, so the forest, it's a natural forest, and we have almost more than 300 species of trees, and medicinal trees, there are more than 20. You understand?
Yes.
Yeah, more than 20 different species for herbs. So,
and it was interesting. It's the combination which is important as well.
yeah, exactly. So if you go to the forest, if you now want to take the herbs, there is a combination for a certain, maybe if I have a stomachache and I go to the forest, I want the herbs, or I feel like my system is not working well, I need herbs for that. So there is a combination for that. So you have to go for the direct combination. So if you go to the forest and you don't have the permission from the mother tree, for example, or you miss the combination, then one of it will not work. So you must have the combination. And if you get two and you miss one, that's like underdose. Sorry. That's like underdose.
Yeah. It's very interesting how the whole system works, and it's really about, are you ready? Are you ready for this as well?
Yeah.
And then another part of the work, I feel we can talk later another time about more the forest, because there's a lot of information you have on the forest. But I want to focus more on the ancestral work today, because I'm working with the ancestors in the webinars, and how much knowledge and how much respect there is, and how important it is to know what is running your system, your life. So I want to now drop into the ancestral work that you've been sharing recently with me.
Just gonna have a repeat on that.
Okay.
Just to get it, just to get it clear.
I want to talk another time, because the forest is really a huge field of information, and I really want to respect that. And so I want to give another, we'll do another conversation at a later date about the forest.
Yeah.
So I really want to respect that and just put it to one side at the moment. But what I feel today more drawn to bring up in the system is the ancestral work that your grandmother was doing, and how it helps to resolve, and why it's so important to work with the ancestors. Like, how can they affect you? How, in many different ways.
Yeah, I understand. So, like when it comes to ancestors, my grandmother also used to work with the
ancestors.
with the ancestors, and it was very important, because sometimes you might find someone is living a life that it's not his life or her life. And if you see you have some maybe complications, maybe you don't get children, understand? No children, or in the marriage, there is always how
hot temper.
Exactly. So in the marriage, I can say it like there's no peace. There's no peace. I mean, sometimes you just feel like you pack your things and leave that marriage. Sometimes you feel like this man is not a right man for me, or this woman is not a right woman for me. So there are some things that used to happen, and people thought maybe it's something normal, but it was not something normal. So, and that's why my grandmother now was now working with ancestors, wanting to know what's the problem. Not having the children, is it something from the ancestors, or is it a complication, a normal complication to have the herbs? And sometimes she used to find it's the ancestors. You understand?
Yeah.
So, and that's why, like with the ancestors, she used to intervene. Is it the right word? To intervene. After intervening, she will realize there is a problem, maybe from the ancestors back. So she could help now to make sure like the ancestors from your side, or maybe both sides, from your mother's side or from your father's side, they come together and to resolve the
issues.
Yeah, the issues. So, and it was very important because you can imagine living a life that it's not yours. So someone is speaking in you, someone is using you as a vessel. So you're not even enjoying life. Sometimes maybe, okay, you can have money, but you're not enjoying life. You have everything, but still there is something missing. But these are our ancestors. So that's why she was like working now to make sure with the herbs, she does it. But again, if it's not something that needs herbs, maybe it's from ancestors, okay? So she used also to work with ancestors because it was very important, because if you live a life that is not yours, it's somehow difficult.
It's extremely
Yeah,
difficult.
it's somehow difficult because you can imagine, Damien, I'm in you and I'm commanding you how I want.
Yes,
You see?
it is exactly like
Yeah.
that. It is exactly like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm finding more and more when I'm doing sessions with people or in the webinars that I'm doing, that how much the ancestors are influencing us, and the people coming to me for sessions or in the group work, how much they think it's their topic or their partner's topic, and it's not. It's completely different. You know, on the soul level, they're good together, but then the ancestors are not good. And with the simple intention of, oh my God, I can't handle this relationship, I might want to leave, then the ancestors tell you, yes, leave, Damien, leave, you know. So they enhance us or intervene in a way to for us to inflate the topic within us. You know, we all have doubts about our relationship, doubts about our life, doubts about our job, insecurities. But if you got 10 ancestors saying, yeah, leave that job, or don't take that job, or you're not ready yet, it's very, very hard for you to break free of that. Like, how many of us can break free when there's 20 people telling you don't do it? You know, it's hard enough, like in this life, or if you're in a group, you know, if you're in a room of 20 people that are against what you want to do, and they're all telling you, don't do it, Damien, don't do it, Damien.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it. Or am I going to do it? Well, actually, I will do it. That's my nature. But most people have a hold, like they're embarrassed, they're ashamed, they're like, no, I'm not going to do it. You know, look at back at COVID, how people were literally bowing down because the mass media told them to do something, and they're saying, yes, 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 I'm going to do it. Or their friends or their family enticed them or pushed them to do it. How many people did not do that, what they were told? That's what I'm talking about. This is the influence and the hold the ancestors can have on us and on our lives. And you can go through your whole life feeling that it's you that's not going to live your purpose. As Washington was saying, you know, he has these gifts, you know, that were in him. As I had my gifts in me, I didn't want to do this work, but was that me? Do you mean I had so much when the gifts opened in me, for example, many years ago, I was sabotaging it like crazy. But how much of that sabotage was actually coming from me, or was it from my ancestors? And that's a very interesting question, because that's something you really need to ask, because so many people who want to take a job or want to go down a specific road in their lives have so much conflict or feel frozen because of what they're being told, and they think it's themselves, they think it's their fear, they think it's their anxiety, and they're not ready. But maybe they got 20 ancestors saying, you're not ready, it's not the right time. And and it's interesting how they know that I just need to waste your time. So they'll keep you from year to year to year. And then you realize, oh my God, I missed my time. I missed my opportunity. You know, I'm too old, or it's not the right time.
Yeah. And that's why you see, like, sometimes you might find, maybe, Damien, in life, you might find sometimes you are yourself, sometimes at the same time, you're not yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Sometimes you are yourself and sometimes you're not yourself. And that's why these ancestors they normally push like everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, they try to push, they try to push, they try to push until you do what they want. Okay. So, but if you now come to a point where you can at least realize it's not you, that's now the beginning of healing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you
Absolutely.
just come to a point of knowing it's not you, that's now the start of healing now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So as I know many of you probably know if you're following my work, you know, the work I do is about your system. So when a wound opens from the past, because we need life and people to trigger us to open up all these old wounds connected to our childhood or connected to our ancestors' childhood. So when they're open, yes, this information belonged to me, but if there's ancestors with the similar information, they may, you know, when a wound opens, I sort of go into the mind and I dissociate. So that is the time the ancestor can seize that opportunity to take you over. For example, I'm Irish. In the Irish system, there's a lot of alcoholics. And it's interesting, recently I actually was talking back to my ancestral line and they were like, no, we're not alcoholics. What are you talking about? We're not alcoholics. We're just having a good time. We're just meeting our friends. We're just honoring the wedding. You know, it's a celebration. And I was like, actually, no, sorry, you're an alcoholic, you know? So it took a lot of work for me in my ancestral lines for them actually even to sit down and address and say, actually, I think I may be an alcoholic, you know? It's like an AA meeting. I have to say first, the first part of the healing is to accept I'm an alcoholic. So in the Irish system, they didn't accept they were alcoholics. So for example, if I go to have a drink, okay, and I'm not an alcoholic, but I have my drink and I taste it and it tastes good, okay? That is the time the ancestors who love the alcohol can get into my system and say, have another one, Damien, have another one. And then I have another one, and then I have another one. And I'm getting more indulged, seduced by the alcohol, the spirit of alcohol, and it takes me over. And then I get drunk. Now there's a feast in the system. It's like a frenzy in the system of all the ancestors who love alcohol is going to jump into my system and feed off that moment of me having alcohol, for example. It could be sex addiction. It could be fighting. It could be nastiness. It could be victimhood consciousness. It could be regrets. It could be bitterness. It could be resentment. So it could be blasphemous, you know. So all these topics related to the ancestors, you know, if you think back, I'm from a Catholic system. Okay, I'm not practicing. I was never really practicing, a little bit, but not much. But if you go back to the Catholic system, I disconnected from the Catholic system because I realized that, and I honor it, but I realized that there's too much guilt here. That isn't, for me, that wasn't the way to connect to God. So it was, guilt doesn't work in a system for me. It separates me from God. So if I have a Catholic system and I am really traditional, which my ancestors were, if some of them were, they would judge me about my sexuality or about intimacy, for example, you know, or, you know, or I'm not allowed to leave a marriage. You know, it was just unspoken that if you are married, that's for life. That's eternity nearly in the system. So then all the ancestors will be judging me for leaving my wife, for example, or entering a blasphemous relationship. So then they're going to have conflicts in the relationship.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so, and sometimes these ancestors, they normally block. And you know, like the way I told you, Damien, not all ancestors they have bad things, no.
Yes,
The
yes.
ancestors, they have everything good and they meant good for your life. And there's some ancestors who now come with some other issues, maybe bad issues or
Yeah. You could say it. It's okay.
Yeah. So these ancestors that they normally take over someone's life, they put you in a bondage, they put you in captivity, they normally block the system. After blocking the system, they make you not to even one single day to think it's them. So you think it's you, and even if someone tries to tell you it's you, they will
go against it.
Yeah, they will still block the system, and you'll be like, no, no, no. I think this is not ancestors. I think this is just me. I think this man, he just doesn't want me. I think this marriage doesn't work. I think, I think. So they normally block all the system. So they make someone to not even believe if it's the ancestors, but in real sense, it's ancestors. But the good thing is, the ancestors that are now for you, I say for you who are like having good plans or
Intentions.
or good intentions for you, they normally help in some way. So they cannot leave you alone. So that they normally come in and they'll try giving you some information. They'll try giving you some feeling. So you'll reach a time where you'll start feeling, I think it's not me. So they can't leave you like just to be destroyed. So that's now the good thing with also the good ancestors. All ancestors are good, okay? All ancestors are good, but we have ancestors that they're good in one part, and now they want to manipulate your life with some bad characters. So we accept them to be one of our members. We accept them to be in our ancestral line, yes. But now when it comes to bad intentions and bad things, we normally put now a boundary. So we can only agree on the good side, but on the bad side, now we disagree.
And also another part I want to bring in here as well is that ancestor may feel they're good. Jimmy,
Yeah.
they may feel for them it's good, it's right. So maybe it was for example, a very strong woman back there that was keeping the family in religion. You know, she made sure the children went to church. She made sure the husbands of her children were in line. You know, she was very strict. Okay. So in her system, she controlled the whole family system to make sure everybody's moral in her belief systems and keeps the family together into the traditional way. Now, for her, that's good. So she'll then pass it on and she'll keep controlling you and all the future generations. But for her, that's a good thing. She believes she's been a saint. But for you, that you're not maybe connecting to that aspect of the religion or have changed your belief systems and traditions, you're saying, no, that's not okay, because now you're ruling my life or ruining my life. So I don't have the free will to choose what I want. Or maybe you're putting your morals into my lifestyle, which actually is immoral now for you, but for me, it's perfectly normal. Mm-hmm. So that's another example of, for her, it was correct. So for her, it's not bad. It was normal. But for me, it's not okay, and it's not normal.
Yeah, and that's why you normally see, because they were there like years back. Mm-hmm. So, and now they also want to live the current life. So they want to live their current life in you. Yeah. You see, so they want to live a current life in you. So you are like, I am Washington, but whoever is in me is not Washington. So I cannot do my decision because whoever is in me, it's not me. So if I want to do anything, it's either it's someone else who is having the permission to give me like, you can do this, you cannot do this. And that's why in even in marriage or in a relationship or even in business, in whatever way, you can have something you want to do, something that's nice or good for you, but from nowhere, another mind will just come and tell you, don't do it. So I don't know if you understand.
Yeah, too.
Yeah, so you want to make your own decision, the right decision, but now something just cross on your mind and tells you this is not the right thing. Do this. So you think it's you who is thinking the other way around, but it's not you. So the someone who is in you is trying to choose for you and something that will not work for you. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's really amazing how we are unconscious about how we're being controlled. For example, if I have a tendency not to put myself first in the system, or put everybody, a helper syndrome, which many of us have, or putting others first, the ancestors will immediately jump in and say, okay, yeah, do that today, Damien, or do this today, Damien, because I'm not sure in my system what Damien wants. So that's a huge golden opportunity for an ancestor to influence how I live my day, my life, my behavior. So when you notice your mind, for me, I think a key really is when you notice a lot of chatter in the mind is a good sign indicator that the ancestors are working in your system. You think this conversation is an internal conversation and dialogue with yourself, but it's the ancestors whispering in your system to tell you, do this, do this, do this, do that, do that, do that. The more I'm dissociated, the more control they have over my system. The more embodiment I'm in my system, the less control they have over my system. That's why I work with embodiment, for example.
Yeah. So that's how
that's how it is, as you always say.
That's how it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So like ancestors, when it comes to ancestors, Damien, it's a very long topic. And that's why you'll find if you have your life and sometimes things are not working, okay, things are working this side, but things are not working this side. So sometimes the ancestors, they can even give you what you want, but at the same time, they're using you. So,
and even, for example, like I'm working a lot with people with health conditions, heart attack, for example, diabetes. Do you want to say a little bit about that?
yeah, exactly. So sometimes maybe in the past years, like the ancestors, they never enjoyed life. Maybe they had no money to enjoy life. You understand? They had no money to enjoy life. They had nothing. They never traveled. They never did these things people are doing nowadays. Okay. And now when you get in a position, now you have money, at least you can travel around.
Yeah.
Am I right? Okay. So at least you have money, you can travel around. So these ancestors, they normally come and ask, who are you? You want now to enjoy life. And we didn't enjoy life. You understand?
Yeah.
We didn't enjoy life. We didn't have money. And who are you to enjoy life? So sometimes now they allow you to have that money. But now they come with another way of now putting in your maybe sicknesses. And if you go to the hospital, they're telling you you are diabetic, so you cannot use this food, you cannot use this food. You go to the hospital, they're telling you you have this complication, you cannot do this.
So, for example, sticking with the food, it's like they had, they couldn't put food on the table. So you can afford to put the good food on the table, but I don't want you to have sweets because I didn't have sweets. I don't want you to have dessert because I didn't have dessert. And that's another way to manipulate your system through your health.
Yeah, exactly. So you can find you have money, but you're not enjoying life the way they didn't enjoy life. So they had no money, they didn't enjoy life. But for you, you have money, but you're not enjoying life.
And that's almost like a worse, a little bit like a revenge. It's like the strongest way to do it, to give you a taste of what you can get, but you can't have it.
Exactly.
It tastes your wealth, but you can't enjoy it.
Yeah.
Taste to live your life or your holiday, but you're not going to enjoy your holiday. I'm going to destroy your holiday, So these are all different ways the ancestors can move into your system. And especially if you forget your ancestors, or the forgotten ones are very important to work with. They're usually the ones who jump in and say, hang on, I was forgotten about, you're forgetting about me. So that's where I feel it's very important to honor the ancestors, honor what they went through, make sure the ancestors are all included, the genetic ones, the biological ones. That's why I work with the genetic work, like the family genetic system is very important. Because if there's one ancestor that was thrown out for different reasons, maybe I was back there doing that work and I was thrown out because I was doing this work, for example, then I'm disowned from the system. So my spirit will want to say, hey, you're not letting me into the system. Let me back into the system. So I'm going to knock on the door or scream at the door. So the ancestors want to get back into the system. So I'd always honor the ancestors back in their genetic places, and especially the unborn children or children from miscarriage or abortion are also very important to honor in the system, because if there's an unborn or a child in the system missing, they will block the system because they're the priority. Always the missing ancestor is the priority in the system for your genetics to flow. It's like the flower of life. You're going to block one of those petals, and then it's going to be an imbalance or distortion in the system. So for me, the genetic work is genetic work with that I've been doing for years with the family genetic system work that I do. The genetics, like that everybody's honored in their honorable places. And now it's more about what's coming up now at the moment is more the personality levels of the ancestors. Are they influencing me? And for me, it's about they only get into my system if that is within my own system, that I have that character in me and I haven't worked or addressed to it. So it could be a sharp temper. Then I'm going to attract all the sharp temper ancestors. It could be greed in me. Then all the greedy ancestors will come across. Then it could be an alcoholic in me. I could have a tendency to alcohol or sex. Then all the sex addicted ones will jump into me. So this is where I feel the work that we're doing is really, really important to address first what's in us, but it's also good to hear how they're in us first. So this is why in the webinars I'm doing, it's, I started off with the mother and father wounds, then protection, free will, and then we're going to be going also into unity, because it's about bringing unity to the ancestors, that they all come together and they support me, that they are me, they're in me and we're supporting each other, rather than the disagreements, the anger, resentment, whatever's behind the system. So that feels really important. And we can go deeper at another stage into that.
Yeah.
So, Washington, anything you want to add before we finish up?
Okay, with just like the ancestors, when we're talking about maybe you're having money, or the ancestors that bringing some problems in your life, maybe not to enjoy. Okay, just tell them those days you didn't have money, and I was not there to help. I was not there to help, but now I'm here. I have money. Leave me in peace. Let me enjoy. But you can have something, buy a flower and give them and tell them to enjoy. They just want to be recognized. Yeah, sometimes you just have to mention, I know you lived a life that you had no money, you didn't enjoy. Maybe you are never married, or you never married, but okay, I am married. I'm in relationship, or I'm in marriage. So there's no way I can help because you've already gone. But I still recognize you as my ancestors. Okay.
I think that's really, really important. That's what I want to bring in, and we're going to do it in the webinars as well. It's almost like a ritual at the end, of unity, is to give them back a gift of appreciation for the work we're doing, because they're in us for a reason. There's a reason for everything. And what they went through is because of their timeline and what they felt at that specific moment in time. Maybe it was war, and for example, they didn't have a choice of a job, and now I can choose whatever I want. And they're like, hang on, who are you? So to choose whatever you want. So we didn't even have that opportunity. So I like what you said to me the other day, watching you said they're like, little children who were,
they're children.
they're like children, like the inner child of all of us. We want to be seen, we want to be appreciated, we want to be spoke about a little bit, valued, honored. So I hear you, I hear your pain, I hear your anger, I hear your insecurities, I hear your belief systems, I feel you, I hear you, I see you, I honor you, I recognize you, and I give you a gesture of a gift.
Exactly.
And it's interesting, like since you were saying about in your tribe that you always would give some food first to the ancestors.
Yeah, we used to, if you have food on the table, so before you eat the first piece, you take the first piece and say this for the ancestors. And for that, we were honoring the ancestors. And now we used to have like plenty food, plenty harvest. So there was no famine. So we had like enough food. So when we say this, the first piece is for ancestors, it's like we are giving them first as a priority in the family. And now they have to make sure in the family we have enough food, because if we lack food, we'll have nothing to give them.
Good for you, good for them.
Yeah, good for us. So we give the first piece, you eat the rest, but it's us who will benefit. So that's how I used to do it. So you give them the first piece as a sign of appreciation, as a sign of recognizing them. And we used to have like plenty food, no famine, in plenty harvest. So yeah, but if you try to have food on the table, eat without even honoring them, famine will kill you.
So I was doing that recently. I was like, we're in an apartment, should I throw it over the balcony or what?
No, you don't. Okay, you cannot be in a restaurant somewhere and you take food and throw out. They'll chase you out of the restaurant.
So what I've integrated into is that I honor the first is for them. So just symbolically, I always like to almost bless the food, honor the food on the table, and say, okay, the first is for you, ancestors. I'm not forgetting you. First is for you, and then second is for me, and then they're happy. They really want to be appreciated, you know, just be honored. And I remember when I was in Japan, it was similar in Japan. You know, you always had the temple of the ancestors in the home, and you'd always give some rice. They always had a plate for the ancestors each day, and you'd always give some rice to them or whatever the dish was, and then you sit down and eat. And this really keeps them alive in the system because they are alive in us. So better keep them on our side and that they're not forgotten about. And it's very easy to give a small gesture to keep them aligned. And we'll be going further into that in the webinars and talking about that more at a later date. So,
yeah, you know, like when I say the ancestors, like sometimes, like, you know, children, you have to make them happy. Bring sweets at home, take them out sometimes. So even if you want to send your kid in the shop, she'll really run because she knows if she doesn't run, you'll not buy the sweets. So like with the ancestors, Damien, they just want to be recognized. Like if you say the first piece is for you, this flower is for you, because these ancestors, they really help us in a way, okay? And you can imagine, how can someone help you at the same time you don't even recognize him, you don't even appreciate him, you don't even do what?
Bring them into your daily life.
Yeah, to daily life. So he cannot help. So the help must at least be attached with something. Yeah, must be at least attached with something. You recognize, you respect. So
and it's interesting. It's almost like, you know, you have a friend that you only call on when there's problems, but you never call that friend otherwise. It's only when you're really in difficult situation that you knock on the door. How does that friend feel? How would you feel if people came to you only when they're a mess, and when they're having good times, they don't ring you, you know? Yeah. So it's the same with the ancestors. So it's always nice to just bring them into a little honoring each day that they're in your life in a good way. And then when you need them, you can really call on them. They feel like, okay, you haven't forgotten us in the daily life. So we're really behind you and really want to help you. So it's really, I think it's really, I understand the traditions better now. When I was in Japan and also in Kenya, I understand why, for example, Washington's tribe works and communicates with the ancestors that way. And also why in, you know, in Ireland as well, with the All Saints Day, and we go to the graves of the ancestors, whereas these are traditions that I wasn't following myself. So yeah, I think it's really respectful to go to the grave, put some flowers on the grave, or just to bring, you'll find in your way of honoring the ancestors. That's not for us to say, that's for you to find out yourself, because the ancestors will tell you what they really want. And yeah, I want to talk more about that another time as well, to go deeper into this, because I feel it's very important.
Very.
So yeah, thank you, Washington. Thank you.
Thank you to
you and to your ancestors, your grandmother and all the ancestors, and your parents, genetics as well.
Exactly.
And siblings. And yeah, and to my ancestors and to all of you, and thank you for your time and
Thank
your
you
ancestors. And yeah, so we'll be going further in the webinars, working through these specific topics so we can address and bring them deeper into our systems in an awareness way, and then also clear the blockages in the system and clear the information from the body level, cellular level, emotional level, and the psyche as well. So we'll be working very, very deep in all the webinars in this series all the way through. As I say, it started with mom and dad, then it was protection, free will, and now unity of the ancestors. So this is really, for me, a very, very important step in the work and a very significant field, because the field of the ancestors is a huge information to open up and go through. It's not just for one session, it's not just for one webinar, it's a field of information which is very active in our lives and very dense in a way, but also very light. And is to bring it into harmony again and to work respectfully without rushing it through all the systems. So I invite you to be on this journey, and we'll give more talks, have more conversations later. And thank you, Washington, for today and sharing this work. Yeah,
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, everyone.